This is the Independence Blue Cross Bull Session, a weekly recap of your 2023 Phillies. Broadcasting live from Chickies and Pete's. Tonight's show is brought to you by Team Toyota, BCWSA, Fogo de Show, Independence Blue Cross, and Capital Grill. Now, here are your hosts, Phillies PA announcer Dan Baker and Tommy Greene.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Chickies and Pete's. We're at Parks Casino. My goodness, what a great venue this is. And we're talking Phillies baseball. And how about those Phillies, ladies and gentlemen? And my co-host tonight is one of the few pitchers in the history of Phillies baseball that dates 140 years back to 1883, who's thrown a no-hitter. He helped lead the Phils to the 1993 World Series when they beat Atlanta for the NL pennant. Please welcome number 49, Phillies pitcher Tommy Greene.
Thank you very much. I'm a 56-year-old man, and I feel like I'm a 26-year-old when you do that to me the way you announced it. I feel like I can go back on the mound.
Well,
but that would be incorrect because I can't throw anymore.
Well, I'll tell you, in 1993, Tommy Greene was 16-4.
Yeah,
you know,
had a lot of fun that year.
A pretty strong NL, and especially, Tom, a pretty strong opponent in the NLCS, your former team,
yes,
the Atlanta Braves.
What a better team to beat than those guys. So a lot of my good friends coming up through the minor leagues, I played with those guys, and to give them a little bit of turn the screws on them a little bit, there was nothing better than beating those guys. Getting another opportunity to pitch Game 6 against those guys and clinch it in Philly, that was one of the best feelings of my life.
We have a lot to talk about with former Phillies pitcher Tommy Greene, but first let's introduce you to our special guest. He's a former Phillies outfielder from the 1960s, 1966, 1967, 1968. He wears a number that a few of you will be familiar with. 17, well, to me, it means Terry Harmon. Rhys Hoskins.
Yes.
How about this year's Cooperstown Hall of Fame inductee, number 17, third baseman Scott Rowland?
How about that?
Well, we have number 17, Phillies outfielder Doug Clemens. There he is.
Welcome aboard.
Thank you very much. It's great to be here again. And Dan, you and I have done this a number of times over the years, and I appreciate the invitation. It's great to be here with Tommy, who we did not play in the same era, but listening to his stats, it's pretty impressive.
Well, I just wish I'd played a little bit longer, but hey, that's the way the health thing happens with baseball. You've seen that happen to numerous guys over the course of their careers, but I was lucky to have a chance. I feel very blessed to play in the city of Philadelphia in front of these fans. It's unbelievable.
Well, speaking of injuries, I had high school and football injuries in my knee, and I now have a new knee. I have both shoulders operated on for rotator cuff surgery, and I'm still walking out there. I'm still playing a lot of golf and having a great time.
That's what I was just getting ready to say. The golf thing is what really matters now. We go out there, and that's how we have fun and compete.
Doug, I want to ask you a special question. You're a 1959 graduate of Syracuse University. Is that right?
61.
61.
61 is, my high school class was 1957, and I graduated in 61 from Syracuse University.
On baseballreferences.com, I could have sworn it said 59, but I'll chalk that up to my mistake.
In fact, I was a year right after Jimmy Brown.
Ooh,
how about that? That's where I was going with this.
Okay, sorry.
The late, great Jim Brown just passed away. Many consider him to be the greatest football player in the history of the NFL. Tell us about your knowledge of Jim Brown as a player, as a student. Did you have a relationship? of any kind?
Well, because I was recruited for football to Syracuse, and Jimmy Brown led them to numerous wins over his career. Unfortunately, the last game he played at Syracuse University, they lost to TCU or Texas A&M, and Jimmy scored all 27 points in the game. They lost 28-27. He missed. He kicked the ball. He missed one extra point. And if we go back to my time, I met him in the football office one time. He was a huge man.
Yeah, I was getting ready to ask, how big was that man?
Here I am. I'm 6 feet, 165 pounds coming out of high school. Jimmy Brown was 6'3", 232, and he had a waist that was about 32 inches. So you can imagine how massive he was on the upper build. He also was a great lacrosse player, 3-time All-American in lacrosse. Coming out of Long Island is where he played his lacrosse.
Being that big, his size. Was he that fast, or was he just pure power?
I'd say a combination of both.
Sort of like Bo Jackson a little bit.
Yeah,
that type.
Yeah, that type of guy. And a classmate of mine coming in was Ernie Davis, the great Ernie Davis, who was All-American at Syracuse, and he unfortunately died of leukemia when he was 21 years old.
That's
yeah, sad.
And then Floyd Little? Did Floyd
Little right after that. You know, the famous thing there is who's going to wear number 44.
Yes.
And it went from Brown. Of course, in the pros he was 32, right? But and then Brown, and then Ernie Davis, and then Floyd Little. Zonka was up there also, Larry Zonka.
That's another brother,
and we had some great football up there at Syracuse.
Well, the Cardinals drafted you. You must have had some great baseball up there as well.
I was very fortunate because I had a football scholarship, and in spring practice my freshman year I tore my knee up, and I had surgery then. I had one surgery in high school on the same knee, and I said to myself, where am I going with this part of the career? I think I have a baseball career maybe ahead of me. So they switched my scholarship from football to baseball, and I played 2 years up there with Dave Justy. Remember the great pitcher, Dave Justy? Houston, yeah. And Pittsburgh, yes. Reliever, great reliever. And here we were roommates in college, and it was great. But I turned professional after my junior year. I was playing in a very fast league in the Basin League in South Dakota. Quality ball players from all over the country for about 50 games a summer. So I played out there 2 years. Dave Justy played with me out there. And I signed with the Cardinals out of that league, and they sent me to Billings, Montana. I had never been as far west as South Dakota, and now I've got to go all the way to Billings, Montana.
I've never seen Montana myself, so
I was
out there.
I had a 52 Chevy that I drove all the way out there in, and my God, it was quite a treat. It was neat.
Well, it must have been a wonderful college experience. And who was your coach? Who was the football coach?
Ben Schwartzwalder.
Ben Schwartzwalder.
I was there in '58. In '59, we won the national championship. We beat Texas. We went undefeated. They beat Texas in the Cotton Bowl, and Ernie Davis scored the first play of the game, 75-yard touchdown pass. When you see the movie, The Express, that was about Ernie Davis and the Syracuse team. They had it where he scored on the last play of the game. It was the first play of the game, really. I think they wanted to heighten the suspense of the whole thing. But it was quite unique and quite nice. And to be in school where a college team was in the top 10 and then to be number one, fantastic.
So, I'm gathering, obviously you played baseball in high school. I'm taking it right.
Yeah.
I was drafted out of high school. I never got to experience the college side of things, but that's one of the things I like to ask. You were an outfielder, correct? If I'm not,
I was really a first baseman.
First baseman?
In high school and college.
Yeah.
And then the Cardinals made me an outfielder.
Okay. That was one of the questions I was going to ask. Where did you play other? Because you were an athlete. And that's a question I like to ask, and because you see a lot of guys, coming out of high school, they play different things. They play the prime positions and stuff like that.
Right, and I'm a left-hand hitter.
Yeah.
Right-handed thrower, and I could run, And
speed kills,
yeah.
man.
And it
That's
was,
the way I look at it.
It was neat. And the years I had with the Cardinals were in their organization were 1960 to 64. And I was in one of the famous trades, as you'll remember, Dan.
June 15th, 1964. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, I got that one right. And the St. Louis Cardinals traded for number 20 Lou Brock, a future Hall of Famer.
Wow.
In the trade, Doug Clemens and Ernie Broglio,
Yeah.
a 20-game winner.
Yes. Yeah.
So
and
that
one
was-
more, Dan.
Paul Toth?
No, Paul Toth was on the other end, going to the Cardinals, and Jack Springer, he was another
yes.
pitcher. But in our trade on the Cardinals side, going to Chicago was one of the great left-handers of all time in the
Bobby
Philadelphia.
Shantz.
Bobby Shantz.
How about Bobby?
Bobby
that's
Shantz.
Oh, Bobby.
He's 97. I hope you're listening, Bobby.
Oh,
Yeah.
He's still running after golf balls, probably.
Bobby does listen, and he's been a guest on this show
Yeah.
occasionally.
Oh, that's
Great guy.
unbelievable.
Yeah.
The energy that comes out of that man now.
Well, you know what happened to him last year? He was mowing grass, 96 and mowing grass, and he stumbled, fell into a tree, broke his shoulder, and hurt his hip. And his wife, Shirley, I said to her, Shirley, God, he was cutting grass at 96? And she said, yeah, can you believe it? He was never going to cut grass again in his life, whatever life is left.
Oh, jeez. One of the things
that's
that
great.
to me is special about this show, Tommy and
Yes,
Doug,
sir.
is talking Phillies history. Of course, we want to talk a lot about current Phillies. By the way, there's another trade that you were involved with for one of my favorite Phillies in the early 60s, the Kingfish, number 43, West Covington.
Oh.
That's how we got
Yeah.
Doug Clemens. The Phillies traded West Covington to Chicago for Doug Clemens.
That's exactly right. It was a one-on-one. In the middle of the winter, I got a phone call that I had been traded and had to deal with John Quinn, who was the general manager at that time. And Bob Holland had traded me, and 1-1. And Leo DeRocher was the new coach at that time for the Chicago Cubs. And for whatever reason, he shipped me to the Phillies. And you always think about a trade that, hey, somebody wants you. It's
Yeah.
not like they're trying to get rid of you on the other side of the coin. But I enjoyed it here because I'm from the Reading area, Reading, PA, little town north of Reading called Leesport. And my family was there, and I married my sweetheart in college, and we have now been married 62 years.
Oh, that is
62 years.
And
that
Ginny,
is awesome.
Ginny is here tonight
Yeah, the chief is here.
with their third son, Greg, and we appreciate you being here. Greg himself, quite an athlete as a wrestler, right?
Good
Doug?
wrestler. Yeah, Council Rock is in Newtown, PA, and they have a great program of wrestling. You find different schools are
Yeah.
great in something.
Yeah.
Well, Council Rock is noted for their wrestling program.
Just like Central Bucks West was noted for their football.
Yeah.
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 And,
Now, our listeners on the Independence Blue Cross Bull Session know that one of the things that we try to do is get into Phillies history and get into the history, Doug, of our guests.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe we can share with our live audience here at Chickies and Pete's and Parks Casino, as well as those listening live stream or on WBCB 1490 AM or 107.3 FM, and find out a little bit more. I never knew that about Doug Clemens.
No.
Now, I'm going to ask you one more thing before, how close to our first commercial break? Doug, you appeared on Friday, June 5th at Dick Allen night when the
did.
Phillies honored the late, great ball player, number 15, Dick Allen.
You get a hit too, boy.
There were a number of prominent ex-Phillies that were seated on the field to salute Dick, including yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
Yes.
unfortunately, I did not, due to time constraints, I did not have an opportunity to introduce all of you. To the best of your recollection, can you share with our audience some of the luminaries who were there
Sure.
that night to
What-
salute Dick Allen?
Well, starting at the top, you can go with this guy like Steve Carlton, came in all the way from Colorado to be part of that celebration. Rick Wise, great
yeah.
pitcher, threw a
Yes.
no-hitter, hit 2 home runs.
Oh, he can hit too.
He was there. He was
Carlton
there.
and Wise were traded for each other.
Yeah, and they had dinner or lunch together. He told me. Rick's a good friend, but other guys that were there, Bobby Wine was there, and Johnny
Wine,
Briggs. Do you know that Johnny Briggs, left-hand power hitter?
From Patterson, New Jersey.
Johnny is blind, and that's a sad, sad situation.
Sorry to hear
yeah,
that.
he is blind. Dave Cash was there.
Cash man.
Let's see, who else might have been there?
He
Well,
coined "Yes, We Can," if you remember,
yeah.
when the Phillies acquired him in
Yeah.
the